I just need to macro this up.
You could do that. In the top left part of the map, we have our purple Zerg player. It is fan of Liquid Anticitizen. He's gonna be so mad at me later for not calling him Liquid Anticitizen, though.
It's
Sorry,
fine.
buddy.
It's fine. He's just repping it.
He's repping.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, currently down one game due to a pretty devastating and very controlled game. He pretty much got told and dictated what he was going to be doing. We have our green Protoss player, Oxygen. John.
Oxygen. It's Oxygen. All right.
Oxygen.
That would actually be a fun ID.
Would be.
So
Nobody would know what it meant. Oxygen? What?
Well, somebody would. It would happen the instant somebody with a specific accent would mispronounce it. And then, like, I'm not sure which one it would be. I know that should happen at some point. No, I would find it kind of entertaining. But, yeah, that's totally, totally irrelevant, really. Nothing particularly weird happening just yet. Looks like we're going to have a hatch first play this time.
Yeah, it's going to be another hatch first play. Usually, on the pro casts and on the pro circuit, the casters are filling this with background knowledge on the players and all of the hundreds and thousands and millions of matches that they've played live in front of TV, and they start talking about historical things and then the general makeup of the game and the map and all that fun stuff. And we don't have that history to pull on.
We don't have that history in terms of their games, but we do know who these two people are.
Very true.
We can talk a lot about Oxygen and Anticitizen. Probably say some things that were pretty unflattering that they wouldn't want us to say. That we're not going to do that. But important thing is, yeah, Anticitizen has actually been playing on here for quite a while now. He tends to go back and forth from StarCraft a lot, but whenever he is playing, he plays a lot of games, and you can see just so far he's a really solid player. Oxy, I don't see him laddering this as much. He's actually I think he's more into Hearthstone lately, honestly. More than StarCraft, though. It's still playing quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll admit, I kind of jumped on the Naxxramas bandwagon and then got loaded up with a whole bunch of other projects. So I haven't touched StarCraft 2 in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Speaking of that, have you actually finished Naxxramas yet?
I have not. So I did my stream on Naxxramas where I did my story time afterwards, and then I haven't touched it since.
Oh, dude. All the quarters are out now, which means Kel'Thuzad is out.
Yep.
Is the only card that I added to my Shaman deck. It's a giant Shaman thing. I did basically overload the board with giant creatures.
Nice.
Kel'Thuzad resurrects anything that died that turn.
Very
and
nice.
It doubles alongside Ancestral Spirit, which also resurrects stuff that dies.
That sounds a little bit broken.
So I did play a game where I put that on 2 giants and then suicided them. And then they came back because of the Ancestral Spirit, and then Kel'Thuzad was there, so they came back again. And the other guy was just like,
really?
well played. Well played. He just started spamming well played at me, and I'm like, oh, okay. Fair enough.
You're just like, I think he's done. I think he's done with this game. Okay, so we actually do have an early speed coming out for the Lings out of Anti, and immediately going into a lair. So this looks like it's going to be a little more ground-based. Definitely getting the early speed is going to be really, really helpful for throughout the match. I mean, speed for Lings is like the staple of Zerg play. I'm really curious to see what tech he goes for after the lair finishes, because there's a lot of really good choices on lair tech for Zerg against Protoss.
What would you prefer on this map, you think?
I think on this map, with the way that the map is laid out, though we've already seen it once, I really think Mutalisks to start, like getting the Spire, getting the Mutalisks out first, and then transitioning into something else, depending on what kind of tech his opponent goes for. But the Mutalisks, I mean, you have this really, really short flight distance between the 2 naturals, and the back of the natural is just wide open.
Sure. Not to mention there's a decent amount of escape room, really, on either side of the base, so you're not liable to get trapped.
Yeah, I mean, the only base you really can't... You can come in from the north on the main of Oxygen, and then you can just turn around and go out the west side at least until that 3rd base gets built, where
right.
it's supposed to be, and then you're kind of limited. You really can't touch the main anymore because you don't have more than one option to get out. Lots of gateways.
And it doesn't look like Oxy's plan this time is to go down the Stargate route. It looks like he just wants to. He might actually just be considering a simple gateway push, and that's not necessarily bad at all. It's very blunt and straightforward. It's powerful if it hits at the right time, if it's set up correctly, and he's warping in units and setting it up pretty well.
He is. He's definitely trying to get it set up. He's got the probe in the forward position to throw down that pylon or scout.
Pylons are already there.
Yep.
To the north.
And the cool part about this is we have a couple of upgrades on the way that could be easily canceled and turned into Hydralisks, and we've got the Hydralisks with speed. No, they don't have speed yet on the map, but we've got the Hydras, and come on. This is one of those ones where it's like I really don't want to see anybody have to cancel anything, but I think he's running 3 upgrades. He's running the speed upgrade and +1/+1 ranged attack for his Hydras, where he could cancel probably the speed, and his Hydras, you just pump out a bunch of Hydras and actually just crush this.
One's actually doing a decent job of cleaning up a little bit, but just not really enough. And yeah, my base has been shut down. He's losing a lot here. More Hydra's starting to come down, but it's kind of piecemeal. He's not really holding them back to try and group them up. So.
And Oxy's answer is more Zealots, which is the appropriate answer, because though they'll take a couple hits getting into melee range, like they're so beefy that it doesn't really matter.
It's the upgrade just barely off the evolution chamber. Army running forward, though. I mean, not really much here to work with, though. And it doesn't help too that basically Oxy's sitting in the middle of his spawn points for his units now, so he can kind of just engage piecemeal, kill that Hydra before it joins up, for example. And it just makes it that much harder to hold this. But the thing is, these units are kind of spread out as well. It is possible here. It requires some pretty bad miss micro, but yeah, definitely.
And Anti just straight up left.